Let's draw a daffodil. You're going to draw a skinny oval in a ruffled motion. Then we're going to give it a little hat. It's like a rainbow on top of that ruffled oval. Then we're going to draw a petal where we go up one side and down the other, coming to a point at top. Resembles a football. A daffodil has 5-6 petals. Sometimes it can have more petals. But just to keep it simple, I keep my petals around 5 or 6. Now this is fun art. This is not fine art. You can get as fine and as detailed as you want. I'm just teaching you something simple. All right. You'll notice that I did put a petal there off to the left near my fingers. I'm actually going to go back and erase that, and I'm going to put my stem there. All right, just draw your stem out the back of the flower. And I draw in a slightly curved motion because that daffodil is a little heavy at the top and it's leaning forward. And for the leaves, it's like a long, skinny piece of grass and it's thick. So you just draw like a big, thick piece of grass. And we'll do it one more time. Skinny, ruffled oval. Put a little rainbow hat on it. And starting at the back of the hat there, draw some petals. Now you can put petals behind those initial top petals. I just decided to come down on mine. All of the petals are just kind of leaning forward on mine. I'm going to go out the back and draw another stem. And I'm just going to draw a couple more leaves. They're just kind of like thick pieces of grass. Now you have a couple easy daffodils and we are ready to paint them. I'm using yellow ochre, bright yellow, orange, white, dark green, lime green, burnt umber, and a deep like Flameco red. I'm going to use a size 3 round paintbrush and a 0 fine liner. I recommend that you just fill in those back petals with that dark yellow ochre. We're going to be building on this daffodil. So I like to put the dark colors in the background. This is called color blocking. Now we're going to take a little bit of dark burnt umber. And we're going to fill in that ruffled oval. And this is going to give it some depth. This is the inside of the flower. Use whatever paintbrush feels comfortable for you. Now we're going to fill in the little hat or the hood. I'm going to use a little bit of orange and I might mix it with a little bit of the red to kind of make it that dark spicy orange. And again, we're just going to build on it. You'll see up in the corner there's various colors of daffodils. So you could do white petals or you could just do all bright yellow petals. All right, I'm going to next rinse my brush and I'm going to move back over to the petals again. And I'm going to get a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow. And that's going to give me a bright, kind of, well, like a sunny yellow. And I'm going to start filling in the tops of my petals. Just starting at the point and brushing it down to where there's a little bit of that ochre coming through. And having that solid background behind that petal, that also helps keep the yellow really bright, especially on this little white card. I'm using a white card that you can actually mail to someone. I'm going to probably mail these daffodils to a friend. Just a good way to decorate a card and send some happy mail. Just going to go fill in each petal. And you'll see a little bit of the ochre coming through there at the base. It gives it some depth. Yellow can be very transparent. If you don't add a little bit of white or a darker color to it, a lot of times it's just going to show the tracer and what's behind it, whatever the painting surface is. It's not going to be very solid. I'm just going to continue doing that for both flowers. All right, now I'm going to get some orange and a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to brighten up the little hood there. It's just a layering process. Now I'm going to go around the ruffle. I really want that ruffle to stand out because that's that little frill there on the bell of the daffodil. I want that to pop, so I mixed a little orange and red. You can mix orange and yellow, orange and white, whatever color feels good. And I'm just dabbing. I'm just building up around that ruffle. And it looks like it's coming out there. You can add a little lighter color there, and that'll make it pop a little more. I like these round brushes. They're just real easy to paint with acrylic paint. I'm going to link them down below. So if it's something that you'd like, they're not very expensive. I'll link them and you can go check them out. Now I'm going back with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white to kind of make that have a more contrasted effect there. It's going to stand out a little more. We'll brush a little bit of that on the hood. Makes it look like we spent a lot of time on it. At any time, if you need to pause this video and just take your time painting your flowers and adding as much detail as you like. I'm going to go back with some bright yellow, and I'm going to do another layer of yellow on top of those petals just to brighten it up some. All right, I'm going to rinse my brush, and we're going to move on to the stem and to the leaves. I'm going to start with my dark green and my lime green. I'm just going to dip my brush in both colors, and I'm going to fill the stem in. You'll notice that sometimes if you don't blend it, you can see some dark green and light green in that same stroke there. I like to just leave it. I like that streaky look. I feel like it looks more natural. And you're just going to fill it in with some light green and dark green on the same brush. If you want, you can go back and just pick up some dark green and outline the leaves there on the edges. You can get real fancy. You can pre-do a background if you want. If you wanted your background to be blue or a different color, you could pre-paint that background and then draw your daffodils on top. Or unless you're really comfortable, you could freehand this without drawing it. But again, this is fun art, so I like to keep it very simple so that you have step-by-step instructions just to make you comfortable, because this is beginner art. I'm just filling it in. I'm just getting up little dabs of dark green and lime green on my brush and just kind of brushing that in. Just almost like paint by number, just like when we were a child. I loved paint by numbers. I still do like paint by numbers. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they're relaxing. All right, I'm going to give it some grass. I'm just going to go back and forth with my little round brush there. And for grass, you start from the bottom and just flick it up, just very fine. You can add some lime green in there. You can add some white to give it a little contrast, more definition. And you'll see how it makes that grass pop. You can go back and add a little highlight into your stem if you want. Blend a little white and lighten it up. You can always think about where you want your light coming from, and add some lighter colors in those areas of your painting. But when you're a beginner, you do want to think about the light sometimes, but then other times you just want to think about the process of how do I draw it and how do I fill it in. And then as you get a little more knowledgeable and a little more comfortable with your paints and your paintbrushes, then you can start working with light and shadow. Now, using my fine liner, I'm going to go in and paint the filaments inside of the daffodil. So I'm going to mix me up some light yellow, and I'm going to round my brush by spinning it to a point, and I'm going to draw out those little filaments. Just easy little flicks, just a few little flicks, just 1, 2, 3, and that will represent those filaments coming out of the daffodil. Go ahead and touch it up, add any details you want, and I do hope you enjoyed this daffodil tutorial. Thank you for watching.